The night was heavy with silence, the kind that settles deep into the bones, wrapping around the edges of the room like a slow-moving fog. The only sound was the faint ticking of the clock on the wall, a steady reminder of the late hour. I lay still, the soft sheets cool against my skin, my breaths measured, controlled. The glow from the street lamp outside cast faint streaks of light across the ceiling, flickering slightly when the wind moved through the trees. Everything was still, quiet, peaceful. Or so I thought. He was asleep, or at least I had assumed he was. His breathing had been even, his body unmoving beneath the covers. I had watched his chest rise and fall in the dim light, the slow, rhythmic pattern that signaled deep sleep. There had been no reason to think otherwise. But then, a shift. Subtle, barely there. The quiet rustle of sheets, the faintest movement beside me. I held my breath, my body tensing, waiting, listening. Then, in the stillness of the dark, a whisper, low, rough, just above the sound of my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. "Are you awake?" A shiver ran down my spine, my fingers curling instinctively against the sheets. My pulse ticked up, my breath catching in my throat. I didn't answer, didn't move. Maybe if I stayed silent, stayed still, he would roll over, drift back into sleep. Maybe I had imagined it entirely, a trick of exhaustion playing with my mind. But then, "I know you are." His voice was quieter this time, but closer. The warmth of his breath ghosted over my shoulder, sending another slow ripple through me. I swallowed, forcing my voice to stay even. Couldn't sleep. A pause. Then, me neither. The weight of the moment shifted, subtle but undeniable. I could feel him now, not just the sound of his voice, but the quiet energy radiating from him, the slow, measured rise and fall of his breath just behind me. The air between us felt thinner, charged, like something unspoken had settled in the dark, stretching between us like an invisible thread. I closed my eyes for a moment, steadying my thoughts, my pulse, the heat that was beginning to coil low in my stomach. "You should try," I murmured. Silence. Then, "Maybe I don't want to." The words sent another shiver through me, this one slower, deeper. My fingers flexed against the sheets, my body suddenly hyper-aware of the space between us, or rather, the lack of it. I should have turned over. I should have laughed it off, told him to go to sleep, brushed this off as nothing more than a passing moment. But I didn't move. And neither did he. The darkness felt heavier now, thicker. The quiet hum of the night seemed impossibly loud, every sound amplified, the ticking clock, the soft rustle of fabric, the shallow inhale of breath between us. Then, a touch, light, barely there. A whisper of contact against my arm, so fleeting I might have imagined it. But I hadn't. I swallowed hard, my pulse drumming in my ears. "What are you doing?" A pause. Then, low, quiet. "I don't know." But we both knew that wasn't true. The silence stretched. The space between us remained unbroken, but charged with something thick, something waiting. My breath was shallow now, my body frozen in place, caught between reason and something else entirely. Another moment. Another breath. And then, "Go to sleep," I whispered, though my voice didn't sound nearly as certain as it should have. He exhaled, slow, measured. But he didn't move away. And somehow I knew neither of us would be sleeping that night. The silence stretched between us, thick and unmoving, wrapping around the room like a heavy fog. The air itself seemed to pulse with something unsaid, something waiting. Neither of us moved. I kept my breath steady, my fingers still curled lightly against the sheets, but I could feel the weight of his presence behind me. The warmth of him was just there, close enough that I was aware of every slow, deliberate inhale, the measured rise and fall of his chest. And then, "You're not asleep either." His voice was softer this time, quieter, but there was something in it that sent another ripple through me, something that made the air feel impossibly thin. I swallowed. "No." A pause. Then, "Why not?" I exhaled slowly, willing my body to relax, to shake off the tension that had settled deep in my bones. "Just thinking." A quiet hum. "About what?" I hesitated. I should have answered with something simple, something easy. Instead, I said nothing. And that silence said everything. Another shift. Another small movement. I could feel the heat of his skin through the thin space between us, the steady hum of his breath against the back of my neck, the way neither of us seemed willing to pull away. I shouldn't be here, he murmured after a long moment. And yet, he didn't leave. I let out a slow breath. Then why are you? Another pause. Then, because you didn't tell me to go. A slow, twisting tension coiled deep in my stomach, a quiet realization settling in my chest. He was right. I hadn't told him to go. I hadn't turned away, hadn't put distance between us, hadn't done anything to break this moment before it turned into something else entirely. And maybe I didn't want to. My fingers flexed against the sheets, my pulse ticking up a notch as the quiet stretched even further, as the weight of the dark settled deeper around us. I felt a move before I saw it. A slow, deliberate shift, a quiet exhale that brushed warm across my shoulder. If I asked you what you're thinking right now, his voice was barely above a whisper now. Would you tell me? I swallowed. I don't know. A low chuckle, quiet but knowing. That's not a no. I closed my eyes for a moment, steadying my breath. You should go back to sleep. He exhaled. Maybe. Neither of us moved. The moment stretched impossibly thin, delicate, fragile. I could feel every inch of space between us, how little of it there was, how easily it could be erased. The weight of possibility hovered just between us, unspoken but undeniable. A few seconds passed. Then, can I ask you something? His voice was quieter now, more careful. I hesitated, then nodded, even though I wasn't sure he could see me in the dark. Yeah. Another beat of silence. Then, have you ever thought about what it would be like if things were different? My breath hitched slightly, my fingers tensing against the fabric beneath them. Different how? He let out a slow exhale. You know how? I did. I knew exactly what he meant. I had thought about it before, flashes of moments that had come and gone, buried before they had the chance to fully take root. But now, in the darkness, with nothing else to distract us, those thoughts were suddenly very present. I turned my head slightly, just enough to catch the faint outline of him in the dim light. Why are you asking me that? Because I think about it more than I should. The admission sent a slow wave through me, something deep and impossible to ignore. My heartbeat picked up slightly, my throat tightening. You shouldn't. A quiet chuckle. I know. But that doesn't change the fact that I do. The air between us thickened again, weighted down by everything we weren't saying. I knew this moment had to end, that it was teetering on the edge of something neither of us could take back. And yet, I didn't move away. His breath was steady, deliberate. Tell me to stop. I swallowed hard. We should stop. Another pause. That's not what I asked. I closed my eyes, trying to steady the rush of thoughts in my head, trying to quiet the pull of something I wasn't supposed to feel. Good night. He let out a slow exhale, lingering for a second longer before finally shifting back, the distance between us stretching again. And just before the silence settled completely, just before the weight of the moment faded, his voice soft, almost teasing. Good night. I swallowed, exhaling slowly, fingers still curled against the sheets as I stared into the dark. Good night. The quiet lingered a little longer. Then, finally, sleep found us both. But something told me this wasn't over.